This happened back in 2016, though I still remember every second of it like it happened yesterday. At the time, I was 24 and living just outside of Philadelphia. I was heavy into urban exploration with a small group of friends, mostly abandoned hospitals, tunnels, and factories around Pennsylvania and New Jersey. We filmed a lot of it for a YouTube channel that never really took off, but that wasn't the point. We just loved the rush of walking through forgotten places, the kind of buildings that felt frozen in time. One place we'd been hearing about for months was something called the Millhaven Cold Storage Facility, an old frozen food warehouse that had shut down sometime in the late 80s. The rumor was that it got closed after a gas leak killed 2 workers, but no one ever confirmed that. The property was way out in the woods, surrounded by a rusted chain-link fence and a half-mile access road that was completely overgrown. Every picture we'd seen online showed collapsed ceilings, frost-covered machinery, and graffiti that looked more like symbols than tags. Creepy, but nothing we hadn't seen before. That night there were 4 of us: me, Chris, Lenny, and Josh. Chris was the driver, the cautious one. Lenny was the loud one, always cracking jokes to hide how scared he really was. And Josh was our gear guy, the one who always brought way too much camera equipment for what we were doing. We left around 10 p.m., figuring we'd get there close to midnight when it was dark enough not to get caught. The drive was quiet, aside from the sound of gravel hitting the undercarriage once we left the main road. After about 10 minutes, we saw the fence. It was bent open at one corner like someone had already forced their way in. Lenny made some joke about us walking into a freezer full of ghosts, but none of us laughed. There was something about the air there, thick, almost metallic, that made the place feel colder than it should have been. Inside the fence, the facility was enormous. A long stretch of loading docks ran along one side, with broken trucks still backed up like they'd never been unloaded. The main building loomed in the dark, tall, gray, and windowless, except for a few cracked panels near the top. Chris killed the headlights and we got out. The night was dead silent. No crickets, no wind. Just the hum of our flashlights clicking on. We found a door that had been pried open and slipped inside. The temperature dropped instantly. Not just cooler, but bone-deep cold, like walking into a freezer. Every surface inside had a thin layer of frost, even though it was the middle of summer. Our breath was visible in the air, which didn't make sense. The first thing I noticed was the smell. Something chemical and sweet, like antifreeze mixed with spoiled meat. The second thing was how dark it was. Our flashlights barely cut through the black, and the beams reflected off ice on the walls like glass. Every footstep echoed for what felt like miles. We walked through long corridors lined with heavy steel doors. Most of them had warning labels: temperature hazard, cryogenic storage, restricted personnel only. A few had been forced open, revealing rooms full of broken pipes and collapsed shelving. In one, there were dozens of small crates, all stamped with the same word: subject. No company name, no numbers, just that single word in block letters. Lenny kicked one of the crates open, but it was empty. Still, the wood inside was covered in frost like something had been sitting there not long ago. We eventually reached a wide hallway that led to a double set of metal doors. Someone had painted a crude eye symbol on them in red spray paint. Josh whispered, "You think this is the main freezer?" Chris shrugged and pushed one of the doors open. The room beyond was huge. A warehouse-sized freezer chamber lined with towering racks that stretched into darkness. The floor was covered in frost so thick it crunched under our boots. Hanging from the ceiling were industrial fans, all motionless, each coated in ice. But the strangest thing was how the frost was moving. I don't mean melting, I mean shifting. Patterns were forming in it, slow spirals spreading across the floor, like something breathing underneath. We all noticed it at the same time. "Tell me you're recording this," Lenny said. Josh lifted his camera, but the screen was glitching. Static and distortion, even though the battery was full. When he tried to snap a picture, the lens made a sharp clicking sound and the display went black. That's when we heard it, a low hum, deep and steady, coming from somewhere behind the racks. It sounded electrical at first, but it started to change, rising and falling in a way that felt almost like chanting. Chris whispered, "We should leave." No one argued. We turned back toward the door, but the moment we did, every light flickered out. Not just the overheads, our flashlights too. Total blackness. All I could hear was my own breathing and the crunch of frost shifting beneath us. Then came another sound, a slow dragging, like something heavy being pulled across the floor. Josh was whispering, "It's just the fans starting up again, right?" No one answered. When the lights came back on a split second later, Josh was gone. We shouted his name, but our voices echoed back wrong, distorted, like someone else was whispering them from far away. Chris ran down one aisle, Lenny another. I stayed near the center, trying to listen. That's when I saw movement near the back. A dark figure crouched behind one of the racks, its shape off. Too thin, too long. I only saw it for a second before it slid out of view, like smoke dissolving. Chris came running back, panicked. He said he found Josh's camera on the floor, the lens cracked and frozen over. No sign of Josh. Lenny was yelling from the other side of the room, saying he saw something by the door. We all bolted that way, but when we reached the exit, it wasn't the same door. It looked identical, but when Chris pushed it open, it didn't lead back to the hallway. It led into another freezer room. Same walls, same racks, same frost. Except this time there were footprints, dozens of them, crisscrossing in the frost. Bare footprints, like someone had been walking in there without shoes. The prints weren't ours. They were smaller, child-sized. That was the first time I remember genuinely panicking. We ran through that room searching for any way out. Every door led to another identical chamber, the layout looping in ways that made no sense. I swear we must have passed the same rack of crates 5 or 6 times. The cold got worse, biting through our clothes like needles. I could barely feel my hands. Then we heard Josh, a single sharp yell echoing somewhere ahead of us. "Help!" We sprinted toward it, following the sound down a narrow corridor that ended at a massive freezer door with a wheel lock. It was turning on its own, slowly spinning. When it stopped, the door creaked open just enough for us to see inside. There was Josh, standing completely still in the center of the room, his back to us. His clothes were soaked, frozen stiff. Chris shouted, "Josh! Get out of there!" But he didn't move. Lenny stepped forward, about to grab him, and the moment his hand touched Josh's shoulder, every light in the room went white hot. I felt something hit me, like static shock magnified 1,000 times. Then silence. When I opened my eyes, I was lying on the floor outside the building. It was daylight. My head was pounding, my lips blue from the cold. Chris was next to me, unconscious but breathing. Lenny was nowhere to be seen, Neither was Josh. We called the cops, of course. They came out, searched the place, and said it was empty. No signs of anyone. They told us we probably trespassed on a contaminated site and passed out from exposure. They didn't believe a word of what we said. But here's the thing. When I got my phone back, there was a single new video on it, one I definitely didn't record. It was exactly 1 minute long, completely silent, showing a close-up of frost spreading across a camera lens. Then for a split second before the video ended, there was a reflection in the ice. Josh's face, eyes black, mouth open in a silent scream. That facility was demolished in 2018, but sometimes when I drive past that area, I still see a patch of mist hovering just above the ground, even on warm nights. And if you listen closely with your window down, you can hear it, a low hum, like something beneath the earth is still running.